There'll be peace when you are gone. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no Did you enjoy that? I enjoyed that. That was a nice little introduction there, wasn't it? Wasn't that the way to go when introducing a podcast? Sup, kids? How are you doing today? Oh, tiredness is setting. I'm about 4 coffees in, but tiredness is setting. And we're once again back chatting. Back wondering about the world around us. Back discussing all the things which we have yet to discuss, which is extensive. You know, there's a lot of topics out there. We could go for hours and hours and hours, and I do go for hours and hours and hours. The amount of content I have now is huge. It's beyond compare. Well, not really beyond compare. You compare it to a lot of people, I don't have that much content, but I have a fair amount of content. I have more than I expected to have, I guess, is probably the point I'm making. And it's a long road. You know, it's a long road. I was talking to someone about this fairly recently. We were discussing this whole idea of how people adapt and adjust and sell out and make their work more for one audience than another, and kind of adjust things in the same way, you know, I do titles or video clips or things for YouTube, and just how I present myself. And they'd suggested a bunch of changes I can make and said, oh, you know, hey, you could consider doing this, and you can consider doing this. It's a bit more public friendly, and people would pick it up and all these kinds of things. And I'm like, well, yeah, I could, but I realized it was just a lot of noises then. I didn't really even say anything. But I feel like when I do things and when I try to go into projects, I almost instantaneously take the longer way around. Like, that's a natural thing for me to do. It's just instantaneously just go, we could go the longer journey, you know? We could go the longer journey. I do it when I set sat-nav routes. I'll go on a hike or somewhere, Derbyshire and Peak District and Lake District and all that kind of stuff. And I'll choose routes without tolls. You know, toll-less routes. Tolls as in toll bridges and toll roads and all those kinds of things. And usually that is a longer road. For a long while, when I first got my license, I chose roads which avoided A roads. Avoided motorways. And that was a callback to when I did my CBT and I got my motorbike. It was just ignoring those things because I couldn't go on motorways at the time, so that was just a given. I could only go on A roads and B roads. And so when I got my car, I just did very much the same. I said, no, avoid motorways. Motorways are boring. You don't see anything on a motorway. That's the crux of that. You don't see anything. And when I go now, I look at the map and I go, okay, well, here's the quickest route. And I go, oh, well, that's interesting, because you're also presenting me with 2 other routes. And the routes will say something like similar distance, or it'll tell you 10 minutes more. And my brain automatically thinks, well, 10 minutes, you say. I've got 10 minutes. Let's go see what happens in those 10 minutes. Let's go see where the journey takes us, because it's about the journey. So why wouldn't you take the longest route to get there? And obviously, you're in a hurry, you take the quickest route. But if you got nowhere to be, no obligations. What's wrong with taking the longer route? Nothing is what I'm saying. But it does very much seem that when I do things, I do deconstruct things and take the longer path. And I think part of that kind of comes from, one, I'm not looking for an easy fix. You know, I'm not comfortable with an easy fix. What I'm comfortable with is having things which I've built, things which I've created, and then I feel more involved with them. I feel like I can take more ownership of them. If someone sends me something or buys something to solve a solution, I don't feel like I've done anything. I don't feel like an achievement. I haven't got that sense of achievement and responsibility, and that makes me a little bit sad. A great example I can give you this, and I still have it downstairs, is so I had an idea that I wanted to make a zine vending machine. Right? I wanted to make a zine vending machine to go in a local cafe. That's probably not going to happen now because the cafe owner has changed. But nonetheless, It may do. Who knows? It was this thing. But my first thought wasn't I could buy a vending machine. No. Of course not. Anybody now? Class, please shout out what my first thought was when I thought, zine vending machine. That's right. If you shouted out, build a vending machine, you are completely correct. I started researching. I started putting thought into it. I was looking up mechanisms, gears. I was learning physics in order to create a vending machine. I then broke that out into figuring out how I could build cabinets and cases and what tools I would need and what materials I would need and whether it would be cheaper than buying a vending machine or whether it would be more useful to have something which is purposefully built than to just buy something which is only just right but I would never be able to improve upon in the future. And the result of this was I ended up with several prototypes for zine mechanisms and realizing that the work I'd put in would still require a coin operated unit, which I would then have to buy, is what stopped me. That's all that stopped me, right? The logistics of it stopped me because I don't have the time, materials or machine in order to produce metal parts. Otherwise, it'd have probably just been made of MDF. Let's be realistic here. I'd have probably just gone to Wix, got myself some pieces of wood, done a bit of skip diving, found myself the parts, and built myself a vending machine. So I bought a vending machine, but of course I didn't buy a vending machine which is completely purpose-built because that would be silly. What I did was I bought a vending machine which is just about right, and then I started modifying it. And it works. It does work. I've just never had the opportunity to field test it. Because there's still a few bits which I need to work out, a few kinks to work out, but the motivation to work those kinks out is somewhat lacking because I have nowhere to put it at this point in time. So it's just sat in my downstairs. I just have a vending machine in my, I guess it classed as the middle room of my house. I live in a terrace house. It's like the kitchen between, I guess it would be a dining room. It's between the front room and the kitchen, but it's also not like enclosed in any way, shape or form. So it's just there. I don't know how you would describe it, but that's where my vending machine sits. But that's a long journey, right? All I really need to do was go out and just find a suitable vending machine, buy it, and then stock it with stuff. That's not a hard system to do, is it? That's the simple solution to that problem. But I think when I chatted recently to Destiny and we were talking about her smart mirror, I like to know how things work. I like to know the process. I like to know what's going on with it. Even now, when I look up things, I'm looking into currently. I'm trying to make seitan, which is like a vegan meat substitute, and I'm experimenting. I'm toying with that. I'm looking up different recipes. I'm finding out why it reacts the way it does, because potentially I can make it fit my needs slightly better. I want something always which is more purpose-built, and this is the problem I have looking for houses, right? I've probably been looking at houses for like 2 or 3 years now, and I have not viewed a single house. And this goes back to you. There's a podcast about why I never buy plates, but a lot of it goes back to that. And I would love, because I don't realistically, I don't want to buy a house. I want to build a house which is purpose-built for me, makes more sense. It's the longer journey. It's the harder journey. Can you imagine building a house as your first house? That's insane. I don't have the money for that, and that's what's stopping me. I can go around that in circles and circles, but there's something in my brain which just says, you know what, it would be more worthwhile to do this the long way. It would be more worthwhile to do this the long process. Even now, like with this website. I recently launched a website, if you don't know. It's called Coke-oven, coke-oven.com, coke-oven.com. It's a website for zines. Not to promote it too much in the middle of this ramble, but it's a website for zines, completely non-profit, allows people to submit their zines into it, so we can just generate a massive directory, which makes it easier for artists to get people interested in their zines, and for zine collectors to find zines, and as well, just a bit of publicising and advertising for them. That was a long process, but I laid it out. Initially I was going to build a website myself, and then I bit of research later, I decided to hire a friend of mine to build the website, who helped me through it. And then I got a few people to input zines. But the process I have at the minute is allowing people to submit zines, and then I create the posts. Now that is a long journey, right? That, especially if I got a lot of submissions in one day, that could be a long process. And I do it off my own back, because at the moment the site isn't ready. Now what I could have done was I paid a lot more money and gotten people involved, to get more people involved, collaborated a little bit more, got the website built so it's perfectly built and you could submit stuff directly into the website. Now that is a quicker process, but it's also a more expensive process. Whereas what I did was I took a longer journey, I took my time with it, I didn't really tell anyone that I was doing it, I went for a wander. And I'm prone to go for a wander. I really am. I go down side streets which people just don't seem to frequent. I wander into buildings, have a look at things, look through windows. I go daily at the minute for walks, and those walks take me everywhere. I've been down streets which are not considered picturesque, because why not? What's down that street? What's going on down there? It would be interesting just to see for a day. Why wouldn't you go the longer journey when you kind of get around there? And someone asked me, like my mum, she's very much, just kind of comes across as a bit of a soundboard on the podcast, there's no real avoiding that, but she kind of gets into this idea, it's like, I can't do things the easy way, that's what she says. She says, I can't do things the easy way, I can't take the easy way out to do it. And she's right? As much as I begrudge to say it, she's right. I can't do the easy way. I don't want to do the easy way. I don't want to buy the ready-made sandwich when I can make a sandwich. I don't want to buy a car because I like the idea of building a car. I want that investment. I want that brain power, that curiosity within me to be fully exposed and just make something. And it won't be perfect, it'll probably be broken, and it may not even work, but I want that journey before I then give in and buy a car. Furniture, I don't want to buy a piece of furniture. I don't want to go to IKEA. I've ranted about IKEA many a time. I don't want to go to IKEA and buy someone's pre-made dream. I don't want that. I can't picture myself living in the spaces they've made, because everything in the spaces they've made is bought and just there. And people want that. People want that quick fix. They want that. And my brain ultimately just pushes against that. Someone else said against me, it's like, yeah, but you could do this. And it's like, yes, but guys, you're ignoring the journey, right? You're ignoring the process. You're ignoring the things which I enjoy. And that is, what's more important to me than the desk I'm going to buy, than the story I'm going to have about the desk I'm going to make. That's a very simple way of putting it, right? And I got thinking about this more, and I got thinking about how that kind of conveys to the world around me, and I actually realized there's more to it than that. And my brother's very different to me. We're very similar, but we're very different. He will happily buy something pre-made because he likes something pre-made, and he sees the story within the pre-made. And he just wants it to fit a function, and that's fair enough. That's just a different way of living. I don't want it to fit a function. I want it to fit a function and more. I want the concept on top. I need to stack that concept. But I think it goes back to a lot of stuff when I was younger, of just being put off by people who could instantly solve their own problems with money or having something provided to them. And there's a level of trust in it, I guess. There's a level of not trusting people to make something which is suitable for me, not trusting people to solve problems, because I'm like, if they solve this problem, they're going to get the credit for it rather than, me having the actual idea in the first place. And it forces me and makes me want to do things the harder way, so no one takes advantage. That in a way, it's self-preservation in one sense. But I think there's another aspect to this which I've considered more and more recently, which is a lot of what I do nowadays. Like I do the daily streams, and I do the podcast, and I create Null Point, and I create Coke Oven. These are all community projects, whether they appear to be not. they're all community projects. They're all things which, when you look at them on the surface, they're just about helping people. Coke Oven was formed out of frustration of finding dead links and zine websites which never get updated, and projects which have just come to a halt because people have fallen out, and all these kinds of things, and just looking at it and going, look, there's no central database, and I can build a central database. I can make something fit for purpose, which I would enjoy, and then give it away for free, and other people can enjoy it too. And I thought that would be beneficial to the world around me, and I'm privileged enough to be in a situation where I could do that, so I did that. Norpoint was very much formed around that same idea. It was formed about getting people past their own fear of creating, engaging topics and subjects in ways which you wouldn't have even dreamed, seeing the same topics discussed over and over again in exactly the same manner. It's like, no, you want to have a discussion about this, bring a lot of opinions, bring a lot of things, and make it without fear, make it so anyone can submit to it, because it's not a conversation just for those who can express themselves eloquently. So that was another community project. And the streams, I started doing the streams. We're going for 150 days or so. Probably going to max out at 200 or just over 200. And again, it seemed like something I could do to ease what I knew was coming, to ease what I knew was going out there. As soon as you enter lockdown, I know that I'm a person who can survive lockdown. I think we've discussed many times before. I know I can do solo. I know I can live on my own without contact with other people for a very long time, and I'm fairly self-sufficient, and that is due to my early life. I have made myself that way. But I knew a lot of people were going to struggle with anxiety and need something to relate to and a place to chill out every single day. So I thought, well, why can't I just provide that space? Why can't I, help along the way? It keeps me occupied. It allows me to practice. It's stuff I'd be doing already. Why can't I use that to assist people as I go? And I think, in a way, taking the longer journey is an adage of that. I think the phrase, taking the road less traveled, right? It's one of those phrases which get thrown around, and I think when you really think about it, a lot of people say, oh, well, you take the road less traveled because you see more. That's usually the one. It's like, oh, you see the things all the other people are ignoring. You get to see these wonderful hidden grottos. And I don't know why I'm automatically picturing like a road trip through Italy, and people are like, oh yeah, we diverted to this village and we found this wonderful villa, and we had the chat with this nice Italian man, blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I don't care about that. What I actually care about, I think, if I'm putting it into words, is I'll take the road less traveled because there's a lot of people who will have no other option but to take the road less traveled. Taking the road most traveled requires a lot of privilege. It requires a lot of your situation allowing you to do that. Can you get on a motorway? Sure, if you have a car. If you have a license, if you have a license which allows you to be on the motorway, if you've got the fuel to get you from location A to location B. Some people will have that choice. Some people will have money for a bus. They might not even have money for a bus. They might have to walk. They may have not even considered doing the thing. They may have just gone, oh, well, I'm going to have to walk to that place. Maybe they're thinking, oh, I'd love to get to that place, but the only way I can get there is to walk. So my brain just goes, okay, well, maybe I have a position where I can take the car. But wouldn't it be more interesting to, one, take the walking route and see whether it's viable? See whether it is actually a means, so then those who can only walk there know. They know one way or another that is a viable route or not. It's doing the research and putting out the research to say, look, before you waste time, before you waste money and your resources, which I know you don't have much of, here is a way of doing it, and I'm going to try it, and we're going to see if it works. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. It's experimentation. But I have nothing to lose in doing it. You don't have to lose anything to see me do it. That's the crux of that, right? But also, there's a level of, there's going to be a bunch of people who've tried walking down that road who got stuck, right? And I'm going to keep using the road analogy because it's stuck in my head, but there's going to be a bunch of people who broke down on the road, got lost, couldn't find their way out. And because the kind of person I am and the mentality I have in my head, all I'm thinking is, okay, well, if I take the road less traveled and I meet someone along the way who needs help, I can help them. I can get them back on route. I can figure out how to get them back on the thing. I can lend them a map. I'll probably bring a spare map. They can have my map. Maybe I can help them fix their car. If I can't help them fix their car, at least by the time I make it to the end of the journey, I know there's people trapped, and I can tell people, hey, you need to go back and you need to help those people. And it's only by taking that longer journey, only by taking that longer idea and the process and learning about all those things, that I'm able to see these people, because they're just hidden. They're hidden to the side and need some visibility. So I'm trying to see as much as I can. I think that's like a crux of doing the show. I'm trying to have all these conversations so I can just learn and expose and represent them to the world. And it's not about getting me out there, it's just more about assisting them. So I'm never going to really opt for the easy option. I'm never really going to go in and say, hey, oh yeah, well, I want to do this project. Well, I can just buy this machine and it'll do this project. I'm always going to look at it and go, well, what if someone can't buy that machine? What are their options? Can I do those options? Is that a viable way of doing things? And if I learn something along the way, maybe I can share it with them. There's such a depth of knowledge and intellect and experience which is completely ignored because of the instant gratification which has basically become required by society and which has been sold to society. And I think the road less travelled, it's more interesting. You usually see a lot more, but you also get the opportunity to meet some people who might need your help along the way, and that's not always obvious. Who knows? All I'm saying is, you see me broken down on the side of the road, maybe stop and help, man. You see me struggling, it might not always be obvious. Take the road less travelled. I'll talk to you guys later.